In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Omar, we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Corsair,
Here.
Councilmember Dayton, Councilmember Michaels,
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Here.
Councilmember Park,
Here.
Councilmember Rolary, Mayor Zitta.
Here. Okay, first thing to be considered, Historic Preservation Commission application fees.
This basically came up from the Historical Preservation Commission. There's a memo from them. They're recommending that we add an administrative fee for a application for certificate of appropriateness of between $50 or $75.
How many applications do they get a year, and why do they want to add a fee? What's the?
I think they get a handful. I don't have the total amount, but I would say it's under, last year, I think it was under 20.
And this is for historic homes to reapply and keep their status? Or
No,
whatever?
this is a certificate appropriate, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Administrator. So let's say you have a historic building, you want to make changes to it. You have to submit your changes to, whoever, whether it's the planning board, the building
Right.
department, Historic Preservation Commission, if your home is already deemed historic. Okay, and then you get a certificate of appropriateness from Historic Preservation that says, yes, the changes you're making are consistent with the historic plans and all that good stuff.
And they want to charge a fee for what? The administrative work involved. I think it's a response to our general call to departments about fees and revenue generating processes. Although this is not going to generate a lot of revenue.
Where did these fees go to? Whose budget will they hit? Building department?
HPC is within the administrator's office currently. So we'll go into general revenue. I mean, we can't anticipate it if we do it, so it would be a earn out for 2025. Miscellaneous revenue. It's not budget.
And what triggers the fee?
The application,
The application for.
the certificate of appropriateness. So
not
it's
all-
sort
not all you have
of
to come
sort of
with
like a
you.
zoning permit application, if you will, for an example. There's a fee for that. This is a fee for this particular process. The administrative work involved with the application and the commission's time.
I happen to, well, who has an opinion? Because I have an opinion.
I mean,
Okay, so
It's-
the work the commission does is wonderful. I think that historic preservation is exceptional. I think it's very challenging to maintain historically preserved homes. It's very expensive, so I'm not sure we'd want to add another fee to the homeowners who kind of have chosen to have their houses deemed historical. That's my view.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Julie?
Sounds
Good?
fine.
Okay, let's go to the next item, 2025 funding round for open space trust fund programs.
I think that last time we were possibly asking if we could take a look at the projects that Jamie might have on her possible to-do list. I know some of the things that I brought up, whether it was the tennis courts or things weren't necessarily like advantageous to go through this funding. Am I right on that one?
Yeah, I would, with the Bergen County Open Space, we've used it for the Little League, we've used it for the dog park. We could potentially put an application in for something with the pool next year. or this
Yeah,
year.
for next year, we just don't have it right now.
It's sort of a spread around. I think the conversation was to get input from Jamie and the Recreation Commission as to what's next on their list of things to do. We do have time. I think the deadline on this is May at some point. I have asked Omar to keep this on the agenda so we don't lose track
Lose
of
track of it.
nailing down. what we're
Is it
gonna do.
too late is it too late in the sense of, I know we're progressing with the pool right now, but is it like, what if the pool was, oh, wow, we can do this? Like something on that pool property that makes it like
We,
pop.
we potentially could. I mean, this usually is awarded in September.
Yeah. All right, just something to keep in mind in
Yeah.
case the people running the pool for us say like, there's this great upgrade.
Can you use it to
Oh,
offset?
okay, about those.
We had not.
Operationally, no, only physical.
How about the improvements that they have to make now?
You could.
So for
But to the
example,
point, we don't get it until September.
Right.
Yeah, so it would be for something that you would be planning to do for next season, that you would do in the off season of this year. So the Bergen County Open Space, typically it's not quite a 50-50 grant, but it's close to that. So you're matching whatever.
Yeah, but to George's point, I mean, good idea. It's unfortunate we can't get it. We know we have an expenditure now.
Right.
We would offset that by 50%.
Right, to
We
build
can't
off,
do it, but I think prospectively we'll have.
to build off that, anything on this year's list, capital list that would qualify. Like the pool has a time limit, we need the summer. I mean, it's a big capital, might as well chip
We
away
have
at
an
it.
October project that we're looking at, we can offset with this.
Save money this year.
I mean, you could potentially offset some of your costs with the tennis courts.
I was thinking initially, but I thought you told me something regarding like not to go with the open space for the tennis
Because
court.
it doesn't for the tennis court price tag, you're not maximizing the 50% offset.
Yeah, you're not gonna, I mean, you're not gonna, they're not gonna fund that whole thing, but maybe an aspect of, maybe they would fund, one of the courts or a portion of one.
Right.
Well, I'd be interested in that.
So nobody's spending.
Because the construction time period for the tennis courts is most likely going to be July, August, September, October.
It'll be in time.
So,
And then just for everyone's knowledge, we're saying for the following year, if the pool is still, what it is, if there was some big court or something that we wanted to put there, some major upgrade, it's like perfect for this type of grant, right?
You'd have to know that this
We have to
year-
think about it.
yeah, so we have some time, let's,
But David, I'm sorry, just to make sure I'm reading it right. It says March 28th. Is that not correct on the documents?
that's a separate grant. We're gonna get to that in the administrator's report. This is for,
Oh,
we're
okay.
talking about, this is the Bergen County Open Space Grant opportunity. Deadline is in May. We brought this
But
up a month.
that's what I'm looking at from the document. I mean, make sure I'm reading it right. The document that's attached for this open space says March 28th for a letter of intent to apply. Am I reading it wrong? This is what's connected.
I know March 28th is the date for the congressional funding approval, so.
This is for the open space grant.
That's what it says.
The letter of intent. So, okay, I stand corrected then.
No worries. Let's just get with Jamie and let's make sure.
Or explore deeper this idea of chipping away some of the money from the
Our current
the
list.
tennis that we're paying anyway.
Yeah. Using it as a cost offset is the right thing to do. Choose a cost offset highest and maximum value and pursue that.
I think I'm most
We
interested
have
in
enough,
that.
we have enough projects, we'll pick one.
Right.
It's just,
Maximize the, yeah.
All right, so I guess the consensus is we'll issue a letter of intent by the deadline.
correct.
And we'll come back to you at the April 8th meeting and formalize the project.
Whatever is the best bang for the buck.
Okay.
Good with that, for
Yes.
clarity?
Actually, the
It's
same
not
date
what-
is,
It is the same date, yeah, that's so. All right, ready for the next item? Okay, Grove Street Park update. So are you gonna talk about this, Andy? So Andy, we're kind of in a little shell shock on this one to understand what's going on. So why don't you kind of help enlighten us here?
I can. Thank you for having me tonight. So obviously the history is a long history. It's about a 5-year history with this park. The original grant and estimate for this park was under $500,000. And then the park was designed and put out through probably a dozen concepts in front of multiple councils. And when that project was finally done and put out to bid, that project bid the first time at over $1 million. We rejected those bids and then bid it again, and then it bid over $1 million again. At that point, you're allowed to negotiate, which then the council, which had changed at that point, authorized negotiation. We went out for negotiation with a number of vendors. Kindergan, who was the vendor, was one of them. And in that negotiation, we negotiated the base contract for this project, which was around $490 was the base contract. That base contract at the time did not include the skate park, which was alternate A, and some of the other alternates in the project, because at that time the budgeted money was only about $500,000. That allowed the project to start. Kindergan was on the job, as you know, with the letter in front of you. There was a number of change orders that came up during that project, of all which were negotiated items. Some were outside the original contract, some were in the original contract, but not in his award. They were part of the original bids that were rejected. This change order tonight is the last phase. So the skate park equipment, or the skate park, was part of the grant that was received. The original skate park was about 3 times the size of this one. At some point, it was pared down because it was too expensive during the time that Danny was awarded the contract. And now, so it's now 1/3 the size. The borough went ahead and purchased skate park equipment for it. Once we had the skate park equipment and a design from that vendor, we then applied that to this contract, gave it to Kindergan to price it, and that's what you see tonight. You see the pricing to put the surface in for it and the fencing in for it, and there's some benches and stuff to go along with that. So this is the last part of this job. It kind of rounds this whole job together.
I think what we're struggling to understand is why wasn't this number, this $82,000, part of the original cost built in with when we ordered the skate park? I mean, like, there's no way we couldn't have known it didn't need a floor or a base or a concrete or blacktop. I mean, it's in the site plan. We don't understand how we got here.
Right. So when you rejected the bids for the 2 projects, it was in those bids. When we awarded to Danny to start the part of the project that's under construction now, the skate park had to be redesigned and pared down. It was too big. You couldn't afford the skate park that was spec'd out. So the equipment that was spec'd out by the borough and the size of the park was too big, so it had to be negotiated. So this being a negotiated contract and not bid, we've been negotiating with Kindergan pretty much since the time you awarded this to him, to try to get him down to a price that we thought was reasonable to do this skate park. There was coordination with the vendor who the borough's buying the equipment from, because that vendor was going back and forth between different services and different delivery dates. And there's a lot that went on in that. And we finally have come to an overall price that we're comfortable with, Kindergan's comfortable with, and the vendor that's supplying the skate park equipment is comfortable with. But the size is significantly different than the original size. So it took time. That's what happens in a negotiated contract.
Right. So I think part of the challenge is, so the council voted on a particular number thinking they were getting a skate park and that we're going to get a skate park, and it didn't include like a major fundamental component of it. So that's very confusing and troubling about how that happens. And now we've got to figure out what the heck we're going to do here.
So when you awarded the first contract to Kindergan, the skate park was not in that. That was not in that original number.
Right. Right, but at some point it got in there, right? And this number only the price that we were given only represents part of the substance of the skate park itself, right? We should have been told this number, whatever it was, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
And now we're now over cost and 2/3 smaller than anticipated. Is that correct?
Correct. You're 1/3 the size that was originally designed in the $1 million bid.
That was.
I don't want to go to the $1 million bid. I'm asking a specific question. We signed off on $490,000. Is what's being delivered the same size as what we expected in $490,000?
Yes.
No, in the $490,000 contract, there was no skate park being installed.
You're giving an aggregate number for stuff beyond the skate park.
I'm sorry?
You've got a number that you're using that's beyond just the skating portion.
No, 490 is inclusive. I'm asking if 490 is inclusive.
Oh, okay, got it, right.
Councilman Park was very, very deliberate about having a skate park. It was the emphasis,
Got
in fact, of our discussions. I'd be very surprised if we signed off on a budget that was non-inclusive of a skate park. That's why I'm asking the question
Oh,
very
got it.
specifically. $490,000 in a over-engineered design was to be inclusive of a skate park that was 66% larger than what's being delivered today, true or false? No, okay, good.
The lower number was with a smaller skate park.
490 was with the smaller skate park.
Correct.
So we
Don't know if
shouldn't
it had
pay
a skate
attention to the
park
fact that it's small.
equipment, but it contemplated this size.
Okay,
size.
fine, good. Okay, so we're not that far off. It just sounded like we're getting a lot
All
less.
right.
Yeah.
So I have a recommendation to make. I'm sorry, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, so Andy, I know this is the size that it was kind of whittled down to. But Andy, can you just maybe speak to did the equipment get more expensive? Because I hear the mayor saying, like, when we reached out to open it, directly to the skate park vendor, why did it not include the curbs, things like that? So did the equipment get more expensive?
So.
So the difficult
This is-
part about
this is
this kind of
So
contract,
the equipment is a separate vendor, and that was $69,000.
And that hasn't
Yeah,
changed?
that was done off of a Sourcewell contract that was.
Okay, so
That's
that
not
was,
affected.
This is $85,000 for specifically fencing and concrete footings for benches and asphalt and curb.
like the curbing. But Andy, can you maybe speak to that a little bit? Is that?
I can,
Why is it-
so, yeah, I can. When we award the 490 contract to Kernigan, we didn't have the skate park vendors equipment list or layout at that point. That didn't come till way later. Once we had a layout that was approved, then we had to redesign the surface that went on to meet that project, which was much smaller. We had to scale it down. That's why you negotiated this whole contract, because you didn't have enough money for the bigger contract. So we once we had the layout from the vendor, we got it, we scaled it down. We got the revised layout to Kernigan. It took him, literally 60 plus days to get us a number, and we didn't agree to that number, and we've negotiated him down to the number you see in front of you. The number he originally gave us was twice this number.
You said the number he originally gave was what? I'm sorry?
Twice this number.
Twice.
Right, I think the issue, though, is, so the equipment cost $69,000, plus it's now $82,000 for what the equipment sits on, which none of us were aware of. That's the issue. So whether the park was 10 times the size or not, the issue is we've got this extra $82,000 out of nowhere. I mean, I would recommend that we take this resolution off tonight, authorizing this change order, and have a separate, there's got to be a conversation tomorrow with everybody involved here about what we're going to do,
Yeah, what is this?
to come back with a
line?
recommendation.
Where are we and what is this changing? Like, what is the physical thing we're getting?
Asphalt.
Asphalt, blacktop,
Nothing.
underneath the skate park.
So there's two things. So if I could,
It's the skate park floor.
so there's two things.
That can't be right.
It is right.
That's
That's
the problem.
the problem.
It is
David.
So hold on a second. I don't know if
Last
it, let
skate
me
park meeting we
explain.
had.
Let me explain something, okay? So if you don't mind. So I went to the skate park this afternoon at 6 o'clock and the dog park, and the rest of the park, everything's coming along great. The dog park, where the gardens are gonna be, concrete is in, water is, it's all coming along fine. When you go to the part that's gonna be the skate park, what's installed right now are approximately, I don't know, 10 to 12 feet tall. The poles, the metal poles in black that hold the fencing. The fencing itself is not up, only the poles are in. And it shows about a 30 by 60 approximately, don't quote me on that, area of skate park. Now, within those poles, okay, there's all dirt and rock right now. And then what has to be put down is blacktop, the base underneath it, and all the concrete curbing. So that's what these change orders are about. Is the base and the concrete curbing, everything goes along with the floor of the park itself.
So long story short is regardless of the size, the design, the layout, the equipment, or
Right.
anything else, it was unplanned for that it would require a foundation to sit on.
Well, I think what was, in terms of,
The
Yeah, go ahead.
foundation was planned for. The last skate park meeting I had was, we're gonna do the foundation and the floor like it's gonna be a full skate park.
right,
We scale down the equipment to a corner of the skate park. The
Okay.
equipment, the ramps, the rails, whatever. At least there's a flat space, you can learn to skate. Your kids, whatever. The more advanced kids can actually start doing stuff
On the equipment.
on the equipment.
Yeah,
That was the original plan.
sure,
This was never mentioned then.
correct, that's the point. The plan isn't the issue. The issue is that we were never told about this 82,000,
Okay.
right?
David,
Yes.
did you want to say something about this?
Well, just to break the 82,000 or $84,000 apart, $42,000 is so what was truly not anticipated was the fence.
Hi, Jeff.
So the $42,000 fence is required because of our insurance requirements. It's unfortunate, it's an 8-foot high fence that must be there, we can't use it, well, we can't get insurance without the fence. So that's proposed change order number 8, not $42,000. What the mayor is respectfully referring to is the $42,737.94, which is the curb cuts and the asphalt, which Andy can speak to.
Okay.
So the order of magnitude of the real challenge here, one is a regulatory requirement, i.e. our insurance, and the other is a $42,000.
That's what it sounds
So
like.
just to boil down the magnitude, we're talking about 42,000.
And to follow up, Andy, in the original price, the equipment is in there too, the skate equipment.
Back in the original contract, $1 million, there was equipment in there. Everything was in there. There was no fencing in there at the time because insurance, at the time, we had not met with them to find out if they required insurance or required a fence. That fence came in at a later date.
But actually, I'm sorry, doesn't it, like, Andy, you just said, like, we forgot or we didn't think it was important to speak to our insurance carriers. Isn't that kind of important as we put this together? It sounds like a pretty significant miss that we forgot to speak to our insurance carriers, don't you think?
So me personally, I didn't forget to speak to your insurance carrier. I didn't design the skate park. It was done with Recreation. So Recreation scoped it, designed it, and just gave me the equipment. So I said, let's move forward. David Fansela at some point said, we should run this by our insurance carrier to make sure they're going to fund the park, which is a borough requirement, which was done after the fact. And that came, all the costs and everything that came along with that came along with that.
And then the floor also, you weren't responsible for forgetting
floor-
to put the floor in?
The floor was not forgot about. It was in the original bid. It was in the contract with Kindergan for the negotiated number. The problem was he couldn't bid on it because the borough was scaling down the amount of equipment they were buying. Again, I'm not designing your equipment. So if we would have had Kindergan bid on that original price, it would have been 3 times the size. So we had to wait till the borough finished designing their skate park and getting it to us. And then we had to get a new quote from Kindergan.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't do it here, but I think David and I'm happy to help in any way I can. When you start talking about change order number 8, I think there was a fundamental flaw on whichever engineer helped us put this together. We should probably do a sort of post-mortem on how we're up to change order number 8, which I wouldn't bet we don't see number 9 or 10 also. We got to try to figure out what we did wrong, and so we do it right the next time. I think, and I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy to help too.
Just a request for.
Okay, hold on, one at a time. Dan, you're first, then Jamie.
Can we get what's planned for change order number 7? Like what scale that is, so I can compare it to the original idea.
So change order number 7 is a skate park area that's about 1/3 the size of the original bid.
Yeah, but that's, when you say 1/3 of the area,
It's 30 by 60. The original area was, I don't have it in front of me. It was a T shape. It was a very different shape.
All right, Jamie, you were next.
No, I'm just gonna ask, based on our plan, we could find money, to come up with it out of our budget, if there are other things in the plan, it's fine.
Okay, so John, I'm going to come back to your question in a second. John, go ahead.
I would suggest that with Councilman Michaels, that if we're doing a holistic review and a postmortem, I'd like to see the details supporting the other change orders. I know we've gone through them before, but I think a holistic review of the project and the performance versus original budget would be a very prudent exercise for us to undertake.
I think what we should do here tonight, I think David has some work to do, okay, in terms of conversations with Andy offline, tomorrow, and that we pull this resolution, R24, R25, 195, and that we don't okay these change orders tonight until we understand what's going on.
Just found the original. We are under 4K for the fence bid and 460K under the skate park bid. 500 was the estimate for the skate park. It's coming in at 40. The fence is in here, so we knew about the fence. 46K was the original estimate.
Right, the issue isn't the components we knew about, the issue is what's the cost, what's the number, right?
I don't believe I found that.
All right, so any other opinions on that? We'll pull this ordinance, R25, 195. Resolution, excuse me, the resolution R25.
I just do have a curiosity, because I seem to remember something about that fence situation. Was that because the rules also changed, or was that
Yes.
always the case?
It's,
I was just curious.
basically, after I started, I talked to our fund commissioner, our JIF fund commissioner, and JIF had not been consulted.
Gotcha.
So they did update their regulations in January of '24, but
Yeah,
the fence requirement
was
there.
always there.
Was there
Okay,
previously.
and then I guess it was in that original bid anyway.
And to put it in a nutshell, the JIF basically doesn't want to have a skate park, so they look to offset liability. So that's why it's so stringent about the fencing and about an
The
engineering
height.
design. So the skate park equipment company designed it. They're going to have an engineer seal it, and that engineer will have liability for injuries from the skate park.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
let's move on to public comment. Audience members wishing to speak will have a 3-minute time limit to address the governing body on items on or off the agenda. Large groups are asked to have a spokesperson represent. Is there anyone here in the chambers from the public that would like to speak? Omar, do you see anyone?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak? Please raise your hand or speak out. Omar, is there anyone there?
I see no hands, Mayor.
No hands? Okay, we're going to close public comment. We'll move on to administrator's report. Go ahead, Mr. Administrator, please.
Thank you, Mayor. In light of tonight's conversation, or in preparation for it, I've come up with a few policy recommendations that I've researched and have discussed with Susan and with Omar. And I think that moving forward, I would like to propose that we cap professional engineering services at 10% of the total cost of any particular capital project. This mirrors the policy of the Department of Transportation, which also caps engineering costs at 10%. What I would suggest is also with a maximum of 15% in extraordinary cases with the approval of the governing body. 2, that the governing body shall not enter into negotiated contracts for a capital project in the future. And I think that the number of change orders on this particular job have proven that. It's my understanding from Andy that he's had two issues with things having a number of change orders and going over. One was this project, and one was the Bliss Avenue culvert. That was also a negotiated contract. So I think that basically tells us not to do this and go back out for bid, even if we go back out for bid a third time. And then third, that the professional engineer be required to provide the all-in costs, and I've talked about this several times, of a capital project that would be inclusive of conceptual design, bid documents, contract administration, inspections, and the construction costs. Prior to the capital project moving forward in the then current year, the estimate of the professional engineer must be in a position to be relied upon for proper budgeting and budget control purposes. So, this is not the first scenario that we've had stuff that has surprised us with cost. So I think that we just need to tighten this process and, not go into a negotiated contract in the future.
This makes a lot of sense. Thank you for your recommendations. I just had a question about number 2, if you could clarify for me.
Sure.
So you're saying to me that if we have a capital project in the future, and if the project says, oh, I need this change, or you're saying, no, stop it and go back out to bid?
What I'm saying is for professional engineering services.
Okay.
So, you also will get resolutions for additional professional engineering services.
Okay.
You've seen plenty of them come along with various projects. And this is not necessarily a reflection on the current engineers or anything, but just as there's a standard. So DOT will not approve an engineering expense that is more than 10% of the total cost of the DOT road project. All I'm saying is let's adopt that same process for our projects. Obviously, it's a policy, so the borough council can choose to increase that or make an exception. I would just say moving forward, it should just be our policy. We should exceed 10%. There may be extraordinary cases, such as if you're going to build a new municipal building, that may be something that is more in the 15% range versus 10%.
And along the way.
But just generally, I think if we start with saying our policy, if they're going to cap it at 10%, it gives us an idea of where we are. It gives the professional that we're going to engage that expectation as well, that we're capping this at 10%.
Any other questions about the administrator's report?
Just what happens if it goes over 10%, then they're
Well,
responsible for it?
That would ultimately still have to come back to the governing body for approval. So you would authorize additional engineering services, but I think that with policy being in place, there will be some additional explanation prior to awarding it or engaging in it. But it basically sets the playing field so they know what to expect and we know what to expect as we move forward with the Gallup project.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, any other questions about the administrator's report?
On the flood control grant, I'm remembering a special meeting where I think it was, Andy was here talking about the intense work about going kind of house to house along there. Is that what this is referring to?
This is part of that. That'll set up a good basis for the environmental review that's required with this grant. I think Andy and Nikki are still on. I don't know if he has anything or Nikki has anything to add.
Andy is on still.
This is regarding the flood control grant, Andy. If you
I'm still on. So the grant, the flood control grant is a scoping grant. So what it is
Sorry, Andy, this is the guy, Councilwoman O'Connor, Dr. O'Connor is referring to the Gottheimer grant, the $1.6 million grant. The HUD grant?
we've only had a preliminary meeting with HUD, so it's going to take a number of meetings, that actual scope and what they're going to cover.
Yeah, I think the question is about the work that was awarded back in September. What is the progress on that work with the flying of the drones and so forth?
Oh, we're a little over 50% complete mapping the entire system for the borough, including the streams.
50%.
Which neighborhoods does this include? Which creeks?
Which creeks, Andy?
We're mapping everything. So we're mapping all of your storm sewer system, including the creeks and tributaries to it. It's every pipe, every inlet, every manhole, everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the administrator on his report? Okay, let's move on to new business. Councilwoman, we got introduction of ordinance 25-10.
The congressional.
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
So
This is
the
important.
other grant for the March 28th deadline is another grant opportunity from Congressman Gottheimer for community project funding, which is what we were just talking about that culminated into this HUD $1.6 million grant. We need to come up with a project to submit to the Congressman's office by March 25th at 5 p.m.
So just to put it in context, I just received the email from the Congressman's office. Was it this morning? It's either this morning or late last night. And they give us basically a 9-day or so window to turn around the request for this grant. Same way we got the one for the 1.6 million. It's the same turnaround time. Well, so my first thought was potentially, it's just an idea, potentially we use this money to identify any houses along the overpay that perhaps flood so much, it's worth using that money to buy those houses at fair market value to willing residents who are willing to sell them, and then create like a mini estuary there so that when it floods, the water has somewhere to go and damages less property. It's kind of, it kind of mirrors a little bit the Blue Acres Fund that the state has, which they do when, what is it, the Passaic River overflows or the Saddle River, whichever those crazy rivers flood houses, they buy them up slowly but surely and make the homeowners whole.
Do we have,
What?
Real estate markets do that, man.
Well, it's not, this isn't a real estate play. People would get fair market value if they wanted to sell it. You know, if their house is continually flooding, that might be something. What's that?
They may be motivated.
They may be motivated, right?
so can I ask you offhand?
Ask anything.
Are you aware of some houses that this is constantly an issue?
There are two houses that are very specifically constantly an issue,
Okay,
constantly, nonstop.
all right.
And nothing they've been able to do is be
What
able to
street?
change. Pardon me?
What street?
One is on Downey, one is on Maple.
Okay.
All right, so
Sounds
we'll,
like a good idea.
we'll look at that then, okay? All right, introduction of ordinance, ordinance 25-10, COLA. The Councilwoman Corsair, would you like to make a motion, please?
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-10 and set the hearing for April 8, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. or thereafter.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-10, calendar year 2025 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton? Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Roleri?
Yes.
25-11, multi-purpose bond ordinance. Councilman Rolieri, would you like to make the motion, please?
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-11 and set the hearing for April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-11, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal system equipment, and a new automotive vehicle, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of Tenafly in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $4,369,600 to pay for the cost thereof, to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Roller?
Yes.
25-12, reappropriation ordinance. Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor, would you like to make the motion, please?
Sure. I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-12 and set the hearing for April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 or as soon thereafter.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call? Sure. Ordinance number 25-12, an ordinance reappropriating $593,450 proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purposes in order to provide for other purposes in and by the Borough of Tenafly and the County of Bergen, New Jersey. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowland?
Yes.
Ordinance 25-13, open space appropriation. Councilman Park, would you like to make the motion, please?
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-13 and set the hearing for April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 or soon thereafter.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct the roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-13, an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $955,000 for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at Walnut Park for replacement of and new electronic signs and including electricity to illuminate the signs for recreation and community purposes located at Roosevelt Common, Tenafly Road and River Edge Road, and at Route 9 and East Clinton Avenue for the purchase of benches, picnic tables, receptacles, racks, and umbrellas at the Tiger Cage, for upgrades and improvements at Tenafly Municipal Pool, and for supplementing ordinance 24-09 for upgrades and repairs to the Little League field, and for supplementing ordinance 24-22 for the swim club, security cameras, raised flower beds, fencing, skate park, including asphalt and curbing, benches, concrete footings for benches and fountains. Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Roller.
Yes.
25-14, parking ordinance. Councilwoman Corsair, would you like to make the motion on this one, please?
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-14 and set the hearing for April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 PM or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please? Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct the roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-14, an ordinance amending chapter 35 land development regulations of the revised general ordinances. Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Roller.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Could I get a motion to approve resolution R25-162, the temporary capital budget?
So moved.
Could I get a second? Omar, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Roller.
Yes.
Okay, in terms of the consent agenda, to acknowledge we are pulling GG resolution R24-195. Are there any questions about any remaining resolutions on the consent agenda?
I found the original estimate for that, so can we come back and vote on it if I talk about it?
Talk about what?
That resolution.
What, for 195?
Yeah,
I think we want to have a separate, the council's agreed to have a separate offline, but yeah, you're going to please provide that to David.
I'll
Absolutely.
forward it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So can I have a motion to approve resolutions R25-163 through R25-194?
So moved.
Could I have a second? Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair.
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Councilmember Roller.
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 4th, 2025 Mayor and Council meeting, February 18th, 2025 Mayor and Council meeting, and the March 4th, 2025 Mayor and Council meeting?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, committee reports. Councilman Park, would you like to start?
Nothing to report.
Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, thank you. I have some dates to share and also just about something nice that happened today. So today was one of the trash cleanups with the high school students. It was the Key Club and the high school green team. combined with the Hackensack Riverkeeper. So you might have seen them walking around. And it was a nice group of them, and they picked up a lot of trash today. So we're very excited about that. Environmental Commission connected those entities. So that was great. Want to thank the DPW for assisting as well. So we have a new residence event on April 23rd from 6 to 7:30 at the Firehouse. So that's the Welcome Committee. That is an invitation only for people who have moved to town within the last year. And that's 6 to 7:30, April 23rd, in case anyone, mayor and council, wants to stop by. Then on April 27th, Sunday, April 27th, is our townwide trash-a-thon. You're going to see the billboard at the corner shortly, but April 27th, it'll be 1 o'clock. Bring the family. It's actually a really nice day to, go out and pick up trash. They give you the gloves, they give you the bags, they give you the pickers, and you just register at the Nature Center. We'll have a registration link shortly. And then the Tenafly Nature Center's Spring Gala will be on May 17th, Saturday, May 17th from 7 to 10 at Spring House. And those tickets are already available. And
What's that date again?
That is Saturday, May 17th, at their gala at the Spring House, and that's 7 to 10.
Okay. Thank you.
Tickets you can already purchase.
Okay. Is that it, Councilwoman?
That's it. That all it is.
Councilman Rolier, do you have something to report?
With great dismay, reporting that the head of our DPW has done an outstanding job for us, has submitted his resignation. We are actively looking to fill that position, but it is a loss to the borough.
Yeah.
You're here.
Sorry to see you go, Michael. Anything else to report? Councilwoman Corsair.
Just to remind everybody who wants to join the town pool, do so while the early bird special is still going on.
Anything else to report? Council President Michaels, anything to report?
Nothing this week, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Omar, Councilwoman Dayton has joined us online, so you're aware. Councilwoman, hi.
Hi, everyone.
You have anything to report tonight?
I do. I'll give you an update on the planning board. The planning board has and is considering an application for 4446 West Railroad for a 3-story apartment building, commercial space below, 2 floors above of apartments. That is on for this week. We are also going to consider, Mayor, I'm sorry, I don't have the address of the other property that's coming before us at the moment, but if anyone has any questions on planning board, they could follow up with me or attend our next meeting, which is March 26th. It's a Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. The only other thing I have to report is that Tenafly Pride is still requesting that they become an official municipal committee. And so we need to make that decision shortly because Pride Day does need to get planned. So whether the borough will officially be making Pride Day or the committee as an outside private organization.
So Councilwoman, I mean, they are a committee that was appointed with members at the reorg meeting. Just so you're aware, they are an official committee of the borough.
So
Am I wrong, Omar?
So, but Mayor, in past years, we have announced our Pride Committee members at the reorg meeting, but it didn't necessarily mean that they were a government or quasi-government committee. So I don't think we've officially decided one way or the other.
But an ad hoc committee is still a committee of the governing body. It's just appointed by the mayor rather than through a different process by ordinance. It's still your committee.
It's a real committee.
In the past, it's been an independent committee that we've recognized. So if we're officially ad hoc now, that's great. I'll just report back.
Okay, yeah, they're an official committee. So you're 100% right for the past, but they were appointed as an official committee at the reorg this year.
Okay, well then we need a meeting. So that's,
There you go.
okay,
And I
excellent.
think-
Thank
and to
you.
clarify, I think it's about the GIF insurance
Yes.
coverage.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if you're an official committee, they are volunteer of the borough, they would be covered like any other committee
Correct.
volunteer.
Correct.
Okay, that's it.
That's great
cool.
news. Thank you,
Okay.
David.
That was cool.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, so mayor's remarks, I'm going to make some additional appointments to the Senior Services Committee. And they are, okay, hold on, because we have 4 openings there. We have Max Bausch, Risa Levin, Marianne Hart, and Nina Gajins. So if I've mispronounced the last name, I apologize. It's Gaetjens. One other piece of business to report. It's actually some
Mayor?
very interesting news. Yes, go
Mayor?
ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry about that. On the Senior Services Committee, I had given 2 names of new committee members. Risa is our employee, so she's not considered a member. Risa Agan-Levin. And so we are supposed to have Jennifer Yanowitz as one of the additional. I'd given that name in January.
Right, okay.
And
And the other
Council-
name is Christine Cesari?
say it again.
Kristen Cesari?
Correct. That's the second name.
Right, she was appointed in January.
Correct.
So
Those
she-
2 names.
She's actually filling out the remainder of your term there.
Oh, excellent.
So she's a member. And then what was Jennifer's last name again?
Yanowitz.
Yanowitz. I'll check offline and see what the situation is there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You were about to tell us interesting.
So I received a call from Sam Williams' father. Sam Williams is a recent graduate of Tenafly High School. Okay, he's a recent graduate of Tenafly High School about 2 years or so ago. And he grew up in Tenafly, of course, played soccer. And he's, as far as we know, the first Tenafly High School graduate to be offered a professional soccer contract with the Chicago Fire.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really interesting.
Wasn't it Tenafly resident the coach of the men's Olympic team?
So the Tenafly residents have done all manner of wonderful things, right, over the course of time. But this particular conversation is about this young man, right?
Understood and appreciated. My apologies.
And so it was someone, we'll talk about this at a later date, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I was asked if we can, because this kid spent most of his life in the Tenafly soccer cage. And some folks want to know if we'd be willing to name the soccer cage after him, because he's the first professional soccer player that, but we'll come back. I just want to throw that out there. We'll come back to it for further
Hang
discussion.
his jersey there.
Okay? But anyway, so congratulations to Sam Williams, that's for sure. Okay. That's it with the mayor's remarks. Counselor, can you please read the closed session information? No, read it.
Resolution R-25-196, at a meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on March 18, 2025. Be it resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the mayor and council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters: real property, borough property, and potential acquisitions. Under attorney-client privilege, there's potential litigation. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time that the matter is resolved.
Have a motion to go into close, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.